Everybody else. But yeah, welcome everybody. Welcome to today's live stream. Happy Sunday. Can you guys hear me okay? I don't know. It kind of sounds a little weird on my end. Maybe it's just it was my headphones. They're just on my head a little weird. Welcome. Well, we are here because we are going to be going through Nicole Kessinger's words. We're going to continue looking through her statements and whatever she said, whatever she didn't say, anything that she omitted. And more importantly, we're going to be looking at all of her inconsistencies. As we know, she had a ton of inconsistencies, a lot of discrepancies, and a lot of lies that she was caught in very, very later on. Of course, because as we know, the police shut down that investigation real fast by giving Chris Watts, they gave him that little plea deal that he took. Oh, I don't want the death penalty, even though the death penalty was off the table anyway, because Colorado was going to get rid of it. So offered him a plea deal and everything ended. However, we will see that the discrepancies continue. And we're going to be continuing going through our calendar as well to add anything that we might be missing or anything that might stand out that we need to check in the calendar. So, yeah, thank you everybody for being here. I know we have a lot of first timers here. I read through some first timers. Welcome. Welcome to the first live stream. Oh, yeah. Yeah, sad thing I heard a therapist say the narcissism is dang near impossible to cure. Yeah, because it takes self-reflection. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, thanks, Nini. Thanks for saying that. Yeah, when it comes to narcissism, it takes self-reflection. You have to realize that you are narcissistic and that you're hurting others with your behavior for you to even want to seek help. And so, if you don't realize that, then what are you gonna do? But yeah, thank you. I haven't spoke to my mom since 2018. Wow. Yeah, and it does take some special discipline, and it does take a lot of work to be able to distance yourself, especially from family, family that you do love, family that you want to be in touch with, but unfortunately you can't because they only cause, harm to in your life, but we'll see, we'll see. Hopefully, fingers crossed, I still hope that, maybe if my mom is listening to this, hello, mother. Hi. You remember me? Go to therapy, please. It's really not that hard. I did it. I've been doing it. It's not that hard. She won't listen to this. She doesn't watch me. Of course not. She's like, I don't care what she's doing. All right. But all right, we're gonna go ahead and start. Last time we ended at Wednesday. We were at Wednesday, August 8th. And just so we can start from where we left off, we're gonna go through Wednesday, August 8th. And again, this is what Nicole Kessinger wrote in a statement. So this is by her, and it was delivered to Frederick Police Department. Let's go ahead and see. I'm just gonna go ahead and scroll for anybody who missed the last live stream. And if this is your first time watching this part of the series, we're just going to show here that this was from Nicole Kessinger on September 4th. So this was delivered by her on September 4th, and she wrote this herself. It looks like she typed it up. All bullet points, of course. She's like, oh, this is not important enough for me to waste time writing everything out. Just bullet points. It's okay. I'm just gonna make it seem like I'm delivering a presentation. It's not that important. So this is what she presented, bullet points. Yeah. Did she wear a brown bikini though? Yeah, we're gonna be getting into the meat of it, according to Nicole Kessinger. We're about to get into the meat of everything that happened on the day of the murders per her own memory, right? This is supposed to be her memory, even though it really does look like it's not enough considering how much actually happened in their relationship. All right, look at this, especially on the day of the murders. Look at how much happened. Look at all these events. However, we're going to see that Nicole Kessinger might have forgotten some things. Who knows? Maybe some things might have slipped from her mind. And so let's go ahead and read what she wrote for Wednesday, August 8th. She said in person, Chris stopped by the Frederick, Colorado Toyota dealership to pick up an order of touch-up paint, windshield wipers for my vehicle after he gets off work. I pre-ordered the paint several weeks earlier. He brings them to me to my house sometime between 3 and 4:30 that day. Okay, let's look at the 8th. Let's go ahead and look at the calendar and then let's compare what she wrote and let's see what actually happened on the 8th that is more detailed than what she gave us. Well, she Googled marrying mistresses, right? This is the time that she Googled, will my boyfriend marry me? I'm the mistress. Is he going to leave his wife for me? Yeah, that's when she asked that. She asked Google this. Apparently she forgot to add that to her statement. She completely forgot. I spent so many minutes looking up if Chris was going to leave his wife. She completely forgot to add that. Let's see what else she forgot. She forgot to add that she gave Chris Watts a key. She gave him a key to her apartment that day. She forgot. Oh my God, it must have slipped her mind. Wow. Well, she remembered the windshield wipers. Wink, 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 wink. She's, I need windshield wipers. It's summertime, Chris. All that sun is getting in my face. I want to wipe it away. She needed windshield wipers. Apparently, she needed a new touch up paint. Why? Why would she need paint? And why would she need Chris Watts to deliver it to her? The other thing is that Chris Watts saved the photo of the screensaver was the sand dunes. Now, do I expect her to add this to the statement? Probably not, right? I don't know. Does she know? Does she know that Chris Watts changed it? Probably not. Chris Watts canceled Facebook. She would probably know that, especially if she was stalking Facebook, right? If she was stalking Shanann, if she's stalking Chris, then she would know that Chris deleted his Facebook. She didn't add that though. And Chris went to the ultrasound. Yeah, he went to the ultrasound. When? Was it after? Was it after he delivered the paint to Nicole Kessinger? Was it before? I mean, it must have been after, right? What do we know about this? Do we know when Chris Watts went to the ultrasound? Was this before or after? Question for you all in the chat if you guys know. Yeah, get the wiper blades and the touch-up paint, a reason to go see NK. Oh, yes, very nice, Averby. Yes. Yeah, definitely one of those excuses. Oh, I'll do it for you, Nikki. I'm off work. It's okay. I can do it. Yeah, you want me to come over? I'll come over. I need a key to your apartment. Right? He really wanted to get in there anytime he wanted to play Twister. He's like, hello, I'm here to play Twister. You know, it's okay. Can I come in through the back? Whatever questions he's asking Nicole. I think it was after. Okay. Yeah, not sure. Wasn't the ultrasound like around 4:30 or 5 o'clock that day? Yes. All right. So let's go ahead and see. Do we have the exact time? I don't think we have the exact time that the ultrasound was, but you know what? I might have. Let's go ahead and look at the folder with all of the information in it. Let's go ahead and see. Because I think we might have the actual date if we don't have it already. If somebody knows, go ahead and drop it in the chat. But let's go ahead and see here. It's so funny, you know, because it's alive. I'm listening to myself. If it's quiet, it feels weird. Especially for those of you who like to watch my live streams, but you're listening. You know, you're like cleaning or something, or you're washing dishes, and then all of a sudden it's silent, and you're like, "Huh? What is that? Did my headphones go out? Did my phone die?" No, it's just me. I just can't find any of the information that I'm looking for. All right. Wait, she did. Chris was broke. Lol. Right? Did he? But those with the gift card too. Did he buy those with the gift card too? Oh, right. Yeah, did he buy the paint with the gift cards? Who knows, right? He's broke, so how is he able to afford any of these things? Did Nicole Kessinger send him, I don't know, a Zelle, or did she Venmo him a payment? "Here you go, Chris. I stole another gift card from work. Here, pay it with this." Is that what she was doing? Who really knows? Okay, guys, I can't find the actual document, so we're just gonna go ahead and move on. But if you do know the exact time that Shanann went to the ultrasound this day, drop it in the chat, we'll add it. But yeah, the likelihood is that the the ultrasound was after Chris dropped off the paint. Now, let's just go ahead and look at the actual statements themselves. Look at what she wrote down for the 8th. Now, we just saw all the things that actually happened, right? All the things she Googled, and the things that Chris Watts dropped off at her apartment, the key. But notice that she only has 3 little bullet points. And the second bullet point, like I said last time, she could have just added this to the first sentence. "I pre-ordered the paint several weeks earlier." Useless information. Why do we care that she ordered the paint several weeks earlier unless this actually means something? See, the thing with Nicole Kessinger is that when we are not watching her do her little acts, "I didn't know," or "Just read, Chris, just read." When we're not watching her movements, and her face, we can only go by what we hear or what we read. And the thing is that Nicole Kessinger likes to give a lot of information when she isn't asked about it. Same with Chris Watts. And here she wasn't asked ever, or there is zero importance about her pre-ordering the paint several weeks earlier. Except it does seem like there is something of importance here. Why would she have to tell the police that she pre-ordered the paint weeks earlier? What is the significance unless she ordered the paint not several weeks earlier and she ordered it just the day before? But again, why? Why would she lie about ordering paint a day before? Why would she lie about ordering paint several weeks earlier? These are the things that we have to wonder about. Or, again, is it just that she ran out of things to write about? The 8th might be one of those very important dates, and she didn't write anything about it because she's like, you know what? A lot of things happened that day, but I'm just going to add a bunch of BS in here. She's the mistress, remember, she's the mistress. She's the one that spent the most time with Chris, but she only has 3 little bullet points for Wednesday the 8th? The day that he got back from North Carolina? Are you serious? 3 bullet points, and one of them, actually all of them, are not even they have nothing to do with the case. The second bullet point is completely useless unless it actually means something, right? And so these are the things that we notice with Nicole Kessinger's details here. So now we're gonna go into Saturday the 11th, and then we're gonna move into the day of the murders. And this is where I wanna get into the very, very scientific type of details. This everything that we have learned from Veroscope, right? All of the different types of deception and behavior. We're gonna be looking at her text and then using everything that we have learned that is scientific to try and decipher, right, what is actually going here. Now, with that said, I'm gonna go ahead and just say I'm not, like I've said before, I am not a behavioral analyst. I'm not a psychologist, psychiatrist. I am not a professional behavioral analyst in any way, shape, or form. All we're doing here is going through actual research, and scientific processes to try and see what Nicole Kessinger is doing here. And for that, I went ahead and just pulled up very quickly. I went ahead and pulled up a few of the things that we have learned from behavioral analysis. And I went ahead and just pulled it up on ChatGPT real quick so that it can pull everything up for us very, easily so that we can go through it in bullet point form, the same way that Nicole Kessinger wrote her statement. And just to let you all know, all of these sources are going to be added to the live stream as well, because I always do ensure to ask for the credible sources, even when I'm using the internet, when I'm using ChatGPT especially. I always make sure that what it's feeding back to me is actual real sources from credible institutions, right? Credible sources. And as you see here, they come from Stanford University, right? Cambridge, a bunch of, a lot of global studies. And as we know, we've already learned a lot of this stuff from Veroscope, his analysis, and a lot of scientific research that he also adds to his videos as well, right? So, yeah, let's go ahead and just look through some of the things that we have noticed with Nicole Kessinger before we get into her statements. And so these are the things, right? So, deception, intentionally causing someone to believe something else. This is what we know that Nicole Kessinger, is doing. And the reason that I say we know is because we know that she lied. That has been proven, right? It's been proven time and time again. Fabrication, inventing details or events. This is what we have to look out for when she's inventing details and events. Falsehood and untrue statements, right? How does she make these untrue statements, especially in writing? Again, we're not watching her. We're not watching her go, they're so little. I'm so stressed. I'm so hungry, right? We're not watching any of that. So all we have to go by is her words. Dishonesty, broader term for deceptive behavior, malingering, faking illness, right? I'm so hungry. Oh, I'm so tired. I'm so depressed, Kevin. Where's Hazel? I need to stop this interview. I'm feeling lightheaded. All of those things. That's called malingering. It's funny because this word we use in the military a lot, malingering. You call someone a malingerer when they go to medical a lot because they don't want to do any physical fitness. They're like, "Oh, my back hurts." And they're like, "Lance Corporal, are you malingering?" "Yes, Sergeant." Yeah, it's because they usually are. They're lying. They just don't want to run 10 miles that day, so they say my back hurts. That's a malingerer in the military. Very interesting to see this. Simulation, pretending or imitating something false. Omission, which is what we see a lot of in Nicole Kessinger's statements. Leaving out important facts. Yeah. Omission, leaving out important facts. That's the majority of what she does throughout the entire statement. Minimization, downplaying behavior or responsibility. Oh, she's an expert at this. Exaggeration, overstating facts. Confabulation, intentionally creating false memories, details. Often not deliberately lying, right? But who knows? Who knows? Sometimes she might be using real details from other events, right? This is something that we've also seen with Chris Watts. He uses real details of something that really happened, but he uses it and kind of throws it in there, sprinkles it with the story. And then here we go. This is what they look for in behavioral and linguistic indicators. And these are often discussed in forensic psychology. Leakage. Leakage. Not the other kind, right? Not the one from, like, oh, when Chris Watts was out at Survey 1029. Oh, I needed to go to the bathroom. Not that kind of leakage. It is involuntary, emotional, or behavioral clues that leak the truth, right? Involuntary. That's the key word. Duping delight. Pleasure. Some people feel the pleasure some people feel when successfully deceiving others. Cognitive load, the mental strain involved in maintaining a lie. Verbal distancing, psychological distancing of oneself from the event, right? That woman instead of my wife, right? Or how she does with Shanann. Yeah, that woman. Or uh, Shanann. The way that she likes to say Shanann. Hedging, weakening certainty. This is something we're going to see a lot of in her statements. Kind of, maybe, right? She does a lot of this, kind of, sort of. Honestly, I don't know, maybe, perhaps. Honestly, basically, perhaps, maybe, right? All the same words that she uses, basically, probably. Evasive language, avoiding direct answers. This is something she's again, a master at doing. She does not give direct answers. Deflection, redirecting attention away from the issue. We already know she does this a lot. Overcompensation, excessive denial or justification. Plausible deniability, right? All of these things, mismatch between words, emotions, and behavior, which is called incongruence. We have micro expressions, which we can't see. We can't, unfortunately, we can't see her micro expressions with a text. So let's go ahead and see what kind of deceptive behavior we see with text, right? So I asked, send me a reliable, oh, sorry, not this one. I asked it, what about written statements, deception detection for something in text, right? And then after that, I asked for all of the sources. And here we go. So, when it comes to statement analysis, word choice is very important. Pronouns, right? The use of pronouns I, me, him, them, they, tense shifts, unnecessary detail, omissions again, emotional language, distancing, right? These are used in police investigations and insurance fraud, right? There's a lot of insurance fraud. People just go in there and they're like, I don't know, my car didn't work. When really they're like, oh God, why did I buy this really expensive Porsche? I can't afford it anymore. And then they just crash it. And they're having to write a written statement, and then yeah, you can look through the written statement whether somebody's lying or not. And obviously forensic linguistics and threat assessment. Now, key deception indicators in text. This is the things that we're going to see again with Nicole Kessinger. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it here and pay special attention to this one, the pronoun avoidance. That's something that I noticed. I'm going to ask you guys. You guys let me know what you guys think about the times that she avoids using pronouns like I. Very, very interesting. And of course, the child, those kids, the kiddos, they, right? A lot of that information we're going to see in her statements. All right, let's get into it. Saturday the 11th. In person, Nicole Kessinger says, Chris Watts told me he didn't have any extra money for a deposit on an apartment. Interesting. All right, so Chris told her that he does not have any extra money for a deposit. I told him that apartments nowadays were so expensive for rent that the damage deposits have to be fairly cheap because otherwise people can't afford moving costs. Oh my goodness. He said that every time he got paid, he just watched his bank account dwindle down. Interesting that she's saying this, especially when in her previous sentence she said, he stopped by and picked up the stuff that I ordered. Okay. And then she says, I pre ordered the paint before. Is she trying to tell us that she ordered it with her money or did she send Chris Watts to buy it himself? Again, we don't know. But it's very interesting. She's saying he doesn't have any money. Every time he gets paid, he has no money. Said he wished that he had a way to prevent his disposable income from being spent. All right. So on Saturday, Nicole Kessinger became a financial advisor. She also apparently became a realtor. She knows a lot about damaged deposits and how expensive rent is in the Denver proper area. Oh, Chris, if you move over to Rhino, it might be a little bit more expensive, but there's a lot of culture, lots of art. We can go to the breweries. However, if you move to Arvada, there's a lot of trees. Yeah, beautiful nature, and it kind of smells good too. That's where my daddy lives. She became a full on realtor and financial advisor. Now, let's go ahead and match it with our calendar, shall we? Let's go ahead and see if she was being a financial advisor. Let's go see if she was being a financial advisor on Saturday. Let's see what she was doing. I love doing this. It's just, I always get a kick out of it. especially because we know that everything that she said was just BS. Everything is fluff. It's so funny. All right, let's go ahead and see what happened on the 10th. Or sorry, not the 10th, the 11th. Let's go ahead and see what happened the 11th. All right, let's open it up. Look at that. Look at all those colors. Look at the Lucky Charms. That's all the colors of the Lucky Charms. Wow, interesting. Okay, get home safe text. Okay, Chris Watts drove the Lexus to Nicole Kessinger. Chris Watts, his weight loss journey ends that day because, as we know, he's about to murder his family. Headed to the Rockies, or sorry, headed home from the Rockies game, right? Nicole Kessinger sent that to Chris Watts. They also went to the Lazy Dog. That is definitely one of the most important pieces of information that she left out. They went to the Lazy Dog. Nicole Kessinger Googles Saratoga Drive, right? She's Googling Chris Watts's address. She didn't include that. I wonder why. She Googles Twister, and not just regular Twister, right? Not just single player Twister or two player Twister. She's Googling three-way Twister from behind, right? So it's a different type of Twister, something no one's ever played before, at least not her and Chris Watts. So she has Googled three-way Twister. How do I prepare for three-way back Twister? I've never done it before, right? A lot of cooks in the kitchen are going to be in Twister night. So she wants to know how to grease up her elbows to be able to play Twister that night with two extra people. However, she did not include that in her statement. And also, this day, Shanann asked Chris via text to lock her office, right? We don't know why that happened. I wonder why she asked Chris to lock the office, but she did. She asked him to lock the office. Now, again, the most important things that happened that day, Lazy Dog. Now let's go see if she added it maybe later. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe she's like, oh, I forgot. Or maybe she's just so hungry and she's typing it away and she's like, oh, I'm so hungry. And she just completely forgot. So she came back. Who knows? Let's go ahead and see, though, because, again, these are all very important pieces of information that she did not include. Let's see here. All right. Here, yeah, a way to prevent disposable income. Okay, cool. I told him it is possible to divide paychecks into multiple bank accounts. Apparently, Chris didn't know how to do that. But that if he considered doing that, he would need to make sure he was responsible and that his mortgage and kids and his standard monthly bills were covered first. Very important, guys. Very, very important. If you are going to separate money, make sure that your standard monthly bills are covered first. Thanks to Nicole Kessinger, we all know how to manage our bills now. We're going to learn so much. We might all be able to work for H&R Block after this. Who knows? I'll do your guys' taxes, right? Send them to me. I'll do them. We're all going to learn how to do it now. What else did she say? Told him that if Shanann Watts ever wanted child support, he would still be required by law to show proof of that income, even if it was a second account. Oh my goodness. She's even giving legal advice. I suggested that if he decided to do that, perhaps just contribute a small amount that wouldn't impact his current living situation, but he would give him a cushion for this month's bills when he transitioned to an apartment. But that was his decision. I'm just the financial advisor. I just get paid to give advice. It's really up to my client if he takes my advice or not, officer. This is what she's saying here. Ugh, again. All right, let's go ahead and look at what our dear friend here, right? The artificial intelligence that we are all competing with. Let's go ahead and see what this AI is telling us, right? Based on real, right? Let's go ahead and I just need to add this based on real research that this artificial robot then gathered for us. We're going to see here, she's trying very, very hard to do this one thing. Let's see if I can remember where it is. But she's trying to make herself sound very, very helpful. And it's one of these things right here, over justification, right? Providing explanations that nobody asked for. Example, I would never hurt someone because I'm a good Christian and I volunteer every Sunday, right? Who does this sound like? I would never hurt somebody anymore because I wrote a book of prayers with my friend Dylan. Yeah, exactly. It can indicate image management. Image management. It seems like Nicole Kessinger is definitely doing this for the entire Saturday. She's doing image management. She's telling the investigators that she was playing H&R Block and, legal advisor, financial advisor, all kinds of hats that she was wearing that day. But the only hat that she forgot to add, right, was the hat of Google searcher. She forgot to add that she was an expert researcher on three-way back on three-way back-ended twister. She forgot to tell Kevin Kovac or whoever that she has a lot of knowledge on how to lube it up for Twister. No information on that. Zero. Remember, she gave us tons of information on the used condoms and where they were manufactured, which factory, right? What country. But she forgot to include all of the research that she did for back-end Twister. That is so weird because, again, I think that's a lot of information that she Googled and she should have included it. It's a lot of work. She should have included her work and cited it. But she didn't. She's like, you know what? It's not that important. I don't need to tell them what I was doing on my free time. Because as we know, we don't even have to, we can go Googling it, but she also viewed a lot of videos, right? She wasn't only Googling how do I prepare for it so that I'm not crawling the next day, but she also viewed videos, right? Examples. Oh my God, is that how you do it? Oh. I have to do what now? Right? She's over here watching and taking notes. Okay, it's fine. I need castor oil. All right. Oh my gosh. I wonder, is coconut oil gonna work? It smells better. Oh my God. Right? She's writing down all of the things that she needs to know for that night. And again, she did not tell anybody about it in this statement. Wow. Wow. It's just so insane to see all of the omissions. Yeah, we need to know who the third was and should the police. And so should the police. Yes. Daddy, I'm in trouble. Yes, Shelly. All right. Well, she forgot to mention that she went to the lazy dog. Completely zero mention of the lazy dog. Who knows? It was she feeling maybe I don't have to tell them I went to the lazy dog because I've already told them in the interview. What do we think? Why do we think she left it out? Again, bullet points, right? She's giving information on her relationship with Chris Watts, okay? 4 people, innocent, okay? Innocent people dead, gone, completely gone. She's writing information on her relationship with Chris Watts, and this is what she gives us? And this is acceptable? The police is like, yeah, you know what? Yeah, I guess. Okay, 2 more bullet points. Yeah, no, yeah, this covers it. Totally. I have everything I need. You're free to go. I'm sorry, but this does not cover it. This is BS. This is just a bunch of fluff. All right, let's continue. Monday, the 13th. We're about to get into it. Continued from above conversation. Text or phone. She doesn't remember. Notice she doesn't remember. She remembers when the condoms expired. 2022 was the one that was open. 2023 is the other, the one, the glow in the dark ones, the extra, extra small minimums, right? We can't call them magnums, they're minimums. Yeah, she remembers when all of them were made and when they were opened and what color and how they glow in the dark, all kinds of nonsense. But here, she doesn't remember on the day of the murders, the most important day. She does not remember if she texted or phoned him. Suggested. Here we go. Here we go, guys. All right, here's the first analysis. Let's go ahead and see what she wrote for Saturday, and then let's go ahead and see what she was writing for the 13th, right? I told him that apartments nowadays are expensive for rent, right? I told him that it's possible to divide checks into multiple bank accounts. I suggested that he decided to do, whatever, just contribute a small amount, right? I did. I suggested. I told him. I asked. Monday the 13th. First bullet point. Suggested. The bank account idea again after he told me that he thought Shanann was gone for the night at a friend's house. Asked him if any money was missing from their bank account. Chris Watts said no. So the very two first bullet points that we get from Nicole Kessinger on Monday the 13th start with 0 eyes. There is no pronoun to be had here. She did not say I suggested anything. She didn't say I asked him any money, about any money. She starts with suggested and asked him. Now, you wonder, right? You'd wonder, why is she doing this even in text? And it's because when someone is lying even in text, for some reason she couldn't hide it. She still could not hide it. And this is because of minimization, right? She's downplaying the behavior. She's giving us only very little information, but especially when it comes to the omission of the pronouns. And that, where is it? Here it is. Reducing ownership or responsibility, avoiding I, passive voice, right? Mistakes were made. The gun went off instead of I shot him. Notice the way that she's wording this. It seems that when Nicole is telling the truth about something that she actually did, she will put the I in front of it. But when she is lying about something that she didn't actually do, or there is something sketchy about that actual sentence, she refuses to add the word I. And again, it's because it reduces the responsibility, but also it puts the burden of understanding the sentence on the reader. She can always come back and say, I didn't say that I suggested the bank account. I never said that I asked him if there was money missing in the bank. I just said that someone asked. I just said that somebody suggested it. She can always go back and say, I didn't say that, because she actually didn't. If you look at it, she didn't say that. So you can't really go back and tell her and challenge her on her statement when you're like, hey, Nicole, why did you say that you asked him for money, or if the money was missing from his bank account? We went through your text messages, everything that we recovered, right? Now, again, remember, Nicole Kessinger doesn't know what the police has on her still to this date, right? This is September of 2018. She still doesn't know what the police has on her. So she's doing her very best to write whatever she can that can't be traced back to her. And so by doing this, the police can go through and say, yeah, Nicole, we went through all your text messages. And, nowhere here does it say that you asked him. And she can be like, well, I never said I asked. That's what you read. I never said that. You understood it that way. That's your fault. Because I never said I. Look at the statement. And this is what she does. Again, very, very smart. She knows exactly how to play this game. And again, it's believed that it's because she's been an expert at this because she's done it her whole life. Now, let's go ahead and look at the statements themselves now that we've seen that she omitted the I. Suggested bank account. Yes, thank you, liberal cat lady. Plausible deniability. Thank you so, so much for that. Yes, plausible deniability. That's what it is. She can always deny it because there is no proof that she said that. Now, let's go ahead and see what she's actually writing. Suggested the bank account idea again. All right. He told me that he thought Shanann was gone for the night at a friend's house. So here she's saying that on Monday, I don't know at what time, but she suggested that he gets a separate bank account on Monday. Monday, okay? Monday. The day of the murders. The day, here, let's go ahead and just see the actual day. All right, let's go ahead and see the actual day. I hate when it does this. Like, all right, here we go. When did she do that again? Mm. When did she do that? When did she text him about the bank account, right? We have Nicole Kessinger pinging in Frederick, and then we have her calling her spiritual advisor. We have a call from Jim. We have a call from a friend that works in energy, right? He is some type of oil guy. And then a bunch of missed calls and a lot of communication that they were trying to have with one another, except we don't really have any of that information. The only thing we really have is the text message where Chris is saying, "Oh my God, they would freak out." Oh, the Lucky Charms, supposedly, is what Nicole Kessinger is saying. But again, look at everything that's happening. Shanann is missing. Shanann and the girls are missing. They've been missing since the morning. And the first thing that Nicole wants to talk about is how she suggested, right, or suggested a bank account idea again on the day of the murders. Asked him if money was missing from their bank account. Chris Watts said no. Okay. It all sounds like to me that this was part of the plan. What does it sound like to you guys? I don't know about you. To me, it sounds like the reason that she's saying this is because it was part of the original plan, right? The original plan that fell through. I think they were probably supposed to move some money around. Again, make it seem like Shanann was still alive and doing all of these things on her own, separately. Telling Chris, I'm leaving, I'm moving this money here, and I'm moving this money there. Again, she's the one suggesting to Chris Watts to open a second bank account and save money. Very, very suspicious. And it's happening on the day of the murders. Tuesday. Oh, wow. Look, we're going to move to Tuesday, except, oh, here, she talks about Monday later. So let's just go ahead and skip. She's like, oh, I'm tired. I'm hungry. I'm just going to leave this for tomorrow. And who knows, maybe she woke up the next morning and decided to write Tuesday. On the 14th of August, she writes, continued from above conversation. Text. Chris Watts told me he opened a second bank account so he could start saving for an apartment. What? Wait, is that in our calendar at all? That is not in our calendar, is it? No, it's not. It's not in our calendar for the 14th. Yeah, no, it's not. So Chris Watts opened another bank account, and that was not in the discovery that we went through. We went through the whole discovery on the 14th, and it's not in there. Chris Watts opened a bank account on the 14th. On the 14th, the day after Shanann, Bella, Cece are missing. The day after she told Chris Watts to pawn the ring is also the same day that Chris opened a second bank account. What? What do you guys think about this? Let's go ahead and let's discuss, because this is crazy. Yeah, discussion time. Let's do discussion time. I 1,000% believe that Chris Watts was not aware of any financial issues. Shanann was working her butt off with the goal of them being debt free. NK is in his ear with her jealousy and echoed his family. Yes, I agree, Trash Panda Mom. Yes. NK knew they were gone. Why ask about the Lucky Charms? Yeah, Chris Watts was in Nate's house at that moment. Exactly, McRuly. Exactly. She's so pushy. Yes. What else? She's very, very pushy. Yes, they are planning to have it all wrapped up. Exactly. So he's gonna sell the ring to put up in the second account. Wow, that's a very good point, Saber B. Dragon Onion, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for the super chat. $10. Thank you. All right. Dragon Onion says, I'm here. No need to shout out, but I will. Have to start from the beginning. Take care and all. And happy Mother's Day to human moms, dog moms, cat moms. Aw. Reptile, hamster, small and exotic pet moms. Aw, that's so sweet. Aw, so cute. Thank you so much, Dragon Onion. Thank you so much. I appreciate your support. Yeah, I think this info is being pulled out of her butt. Exactly, right? Talk about leakage. Yeah. I wonder if he pawned the ring and used the money to open a new bank account. This is amazing, guys. This is crazy that you guys are making this connection because it makes so much sense. She's talking about pawning the ring, right? She's telling the detectives, I pawn stuff all the time. I pawn things occasionally, not all the time. She even corrected herself, but she's talking about pawning a ring that is expensive, and he's also opening bank accounts. Oh my God. Was he going to pawn the ring and then put the money in a separate bank account and make it look like this was Shanann's second bank account? And she pawned the ring and put the money in there? Or what? This is crazy. Again, I'm just thinking out loud here. Okay, I'm just thinking out loud. You guys let me know, but you are all bringing up so many important points here that, again, never even thought of, because this is my first time reading that he opened a bank account. That's crazy. Yeah, bet she told him to start hiding money. Yeah, pawning is so disrespectful. He was eager to start a new life with her. It makes me sick. Yeah. A ring that he told was his wife's. Yeah, completely crazy. The wife that is missing is supposed to come back. Nicole Kessinger says, my friends go missing all the time. They always come back, barefoot and all. They always come back. And she's telling Chris, pawn it, man. Pawn the ring of the wife that is supposed to just walk in at any moment? Come on. Yeah, had to justify telling her to pawn it. NK, you ain't slick. It's amazing she forgot that in the interview. Exactly. Chris would have been lucky to get, 5,000 for Shanann's ring. Yeah. Yeah, pawning is not a good way to sell. Well, yeah, that's awesome, guys. Thank you so much for all of the thoughts here. These are all very, very good theories that we are going through because, again, we're seeing the events, and this is what we're doing here, right? Every time that we get on these live streams, we see the events and we connect it to what is actually said. We look at the evidence and then we connect it to what Nicole said, what Chris said. And again, we're seeing a lot of inconsistencies here. And so thank you for all of the thoughts on pawning the ring, because why? Why is she talking about pawning the ring and then opening bank accounts? Again, very, very fishy. Okay, let's move on to Monday the 13th. Here we go. She's writing it again. Number 8. She even numbered it. Number 8. She said through text, Chris informed me his family is gone. Asked me to call him when I have a chance. At what time was that? What time do we think that this supposedly happened? Now, I'm sure he called her very right away and he's like, yeah, the cops are here, right? That's the time that he called her, the cops are here. But when did Chris supposedly call her in her statement, right? If we go ahead and look at her actual phone logs, let's go ahead and see the calls that she made. Now, again, she's claiming this was via text, all right? Via text. And as we know, she deleted everything. So it can't even be verified. But the phone calls don't show really anything except for the 2 missed calls here and no calls before that. Now, this is her boyfriend, right? Her family or his family is missing. His family is missing. She's saying that he called her to say, "Hey, my family is missing." But it wasn't even important enough for a call? It all had to happen via text? So his family is missing and there was no call up until 5 p.m. when she's the one calling him. Again, it makes no sense. It makes absolutely no sense. When you're looking at the actual logs and the severity of what's happening, a pregnant woman and children are missing. And she is saying that her boyfriend just texted her about it, just casually. He just happened to have some time off, he was on his 15-minute break and he decided, "You know what? I think I'll just let her know something. I'm just going to text my girlfriend that my family is missing. No big deal." Text, text, text. "Hi, Nikki, my family is missing. No big deal. Yeah, what did you have for breakfast?" "Oh, really? I miss you too. Yes, did you see the sunflower photos that I sent you? They remind me of you. Yeah, they're pale and very yellow. Yeah, jaundice. It's really what it reminds me of. It reminds me of your skin. I love it. Yes. Oh, I miss you too, Nikki. Anyway, let's move on. Again, what kind of text messaging was going on here? A family is missing and the event was not important enough to warrant a phone call. It was only until Nicole Kessinger calls him and is like, "Oh, hey, is your family still missing?" Apparently, right? It looks like that's what's happening. Here, here she's saying, "Yeah, call me back or call him back when I have a chance," supposedly. When I called Chris Watts, he informed me that the cops were at his house. Oh, and that he would need to call me back. Okay. So when she called him, so that means that she called him when? Where? Where is it? When did she call him again? She said she called him, right? Let's go ahead and see this again. Maybe I read it wrong. When I called Chris, he informed me that the cops were at his house and that he would need to call me back. Okay. Well, where's the call? This was a missed call. And then Chris Watts called her back, or sorry, no, he called her and then she called him back. But they were both sent to voicemail. They never spoke, right? Because as we know, let's go ahead and see what Chris Watts was doing at that time. Let's go ahead and see what he was doing at 5 p.m. when Nicole Kessinger was calling him. It is right here.
No, we went in the back, so she's in the house now. So does your garage door pad work?
No, not on the outside. There's a radiator right here, and every time something right here got busted and it pulled out. So you'd have to just hold it down, but it won't do anything. It's 2385 is the code, but I can never get it to do anything.
Can you close the garage from out here?
Yeah. So that's what Chris was doing, which is why he wasn't able to answer her phone call at 5:01, right? It looks like he called her. That's why he was outside. It looks like that's why Chris was outside. Let's go ahead and see this again and see what he was possibly doing before the police officer walks out and he's like, "Oh shit." All right, let's go ahead and see it.
No, we went in the back, so she's in the house now. So does your garage door...
Again, it's very, very fast, but we can even see where he's coming from. He's all the way over here. Again, his family is missing and he's supposed to be looking for them and he's supposed to be so concerned, but he's way out in the walkway. Again, doing what? He's on his phone. What was he doing? He was calling Nicole Kessinger. He left her a voicemail deposit at the exact time that the officer walked out. And then she called him right back. And he sends her to voicemail, right? He left her on red. Nicole's like, "Oh my God, Chris, you didn't answer my phone call." No, because he was interrupted.
Or pad work?
No, not on the outside. There's a radiator right here, and every time like it got something right here got busted and it like pulled out, so like you'd have to like just hold it down, but it.
So again, when we're looking at her statements, she claims that she called him back and that he informed her that the cops were at his house. However, the call logs show that the only time that they had an actual conversation was way at night. It was at 9:48 p.m. That by that time the cops were already gone. So surprise, surprise, another lie. Unless she called him from where? Was it another phone? Did she have a burner? Right? There are lots of theories out there that she had a burner phone, she had a pager, who knows? There was other apps, right? Possibly Snapchat, probably WhatsApp, something else where Nicole and Chris Watts were communicating. But here she's saying, "I called him," and there is 0 logs in her phone records. Let's go ahead and continue. And here is where we're going to see yet again something interesting with Nicole Kessinger. The first 2 bullet points was, again, what happened, right? These are statements, right? This is what happened. Chris Watts informed me his family's gone. I called him and he told me the cops are there, right? And then, okay, as we look at with forensic psychology and seeing how people speak and how they lie, even in text, we're going to see a lot of the avoidance, a lot of the minimization, and we're going to see a lot of the hedging as well, the omission, right? What should be in there but isn't. And we're also going to see a lot of this, right? Over focus on certain things that don't matter. It contains generic fillers. And this is the most important thing that I want us to focus on. Temporal distortion, odd timeline structure, skipping important moments, vague timing, compressed sequences, and over-explaining unimportant periods. And when we see the way that she tells these stories, right, there is a narrative imbalance here. Truthful stories often, they flow naturally. They contain uneven but realistic detail. Fabricated stories, fake ones, sound overly polished. They contain equal detail everywhere, and they become strangely sparse around crucial events. Okay, we're looking at Monday the 13th, the day of the murders. The most crucial of all days in our calendar. The most crucial day of their entire relationship. And she goes and starts with the things that happened, and then she goes into a very strange bullet point that shouldn't be here. I was unaware that his wife had missed a doctor's appointment, or that his kids missed school that day, or that her friend had tried to contact her and couldn't, or that he had tried to call her and didn't get a response, or that her friend had stopped by the house hours earlier to check on her. I asked him why the cops were there. Next bullet point. Chris Watts informed me that Shanann's friend Nicole had called them. Next bullet point. Chris Watts says that the media are arriving. Do we see what happened there? Yeah. Do we see that? Fact, right? In her words. Fact, feeling. I didn't know. I wasn't aware. I didn't know this detail. I didn't know that detail. Followed by fact. I asked him this. Followed by another fact. He told me this. Followed by another thing. He told me that. But she included a very, very strange bullet point in here that should not be here. She was unaware. She really needed to let the detectives know that she did not know that his wife had missed a doctor's appointment that day. She also let them know that she didn't know that the kids missed school that day. She had no idea that her friend tried to contact her or that he tried to call her and she didn't respond. And that the friend stopped by hours earlier. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at the calendar because something interesting is happening with what she's saying that she didn't know, right? She's like, I was not aware of this, not at all. No one asked her, right? No one asked her if she was aware of any of these things. She just willingly gave that information up. She's like, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and add this in here. I have no idea. I was not aware. Again, no one asked her, but she added it in there. And let's go ahead and see the strangeness of the way that she wrote that in there. I was unaware that his wife had missed a doctor's appointment. I believe that Nicole Kessinger was truly unaware that Shanann missed a doctor's appointment, which is why she wrote it. However, she knew about it when the plan fell through. That's the thing here, is that yes, at the time of the planning, Nicole Kessinger did not know about the missed doctor's appointment, which is why the plan fell through in the first place. It's because Chris wasn't paying attention to Shanann anymore. He didn't care about ultrasounds and future appointments. He did not care. So he had no idea that Shanann had an appointment that day. That is something that slipped his mind. And in my opinion, this is something that spoiled the plan, and I think that it really upset Nicole Kessinger. Part of the reason that a lot of the plan fell through was because Chris didn't know any of these details and he didn't tell her about them. On top of not being able to get into her phone because the password was changed. So I think this is true. However, she already knew about it because Chris told her about it. The plan fell through. She also says that she didn't know that the kids missed school that day. I also think that this is partially true, right? She didn't know that the kids were starting school that day. Truthfully, right? She probably thought, okay, they're starting school sometime this week. But Chris probably missed telling her, oh, yeah, no, they actually started this Monday and I had to call. Or is it true that she actually did know that the kids were going to miss school that day because she had to call the school? Except she couldn't call the school to pretend to be Shanann because she couldn't get into her phone. What do we think about this? The other one that she talks about is her friend tried to contact her but couldn't. See, this here is very, very interesting to me. Very, very interesting. Boops. Yes, she wondered why Nicole Atkinson showed up while she was doing laundry. Yes, exactly. These are all things that it seems that Nicole Kessinger is wondering while she is at the house that morning. But here, look at this part. She's claiming in a written statement that she didn't know that her friend tried to contact her and couldn't. Now, if we look at the actual calendar, Chris staged the first text message, okay? The very, very first one was staged at 7:40. That message went through, okay? It was delivered to Shanann's phone. However, the ones that her friends sent her, the one that says, hi, right? Hi, how you doing, honey? From Cassie, that one was not received. Neither was the one from Nicole Atkinson. How are you? At 8:43. Why? Because the phone had been magically turned off by that point. The reason that Shanann did not receive any of these text messages to her phone were because her phone were already off. Except Nicole Kessinger is very aware of that fact. The other thing is that she says that he tried to call her and didn't get a response. Interesting that yes, he did. He did try to stage another call at 8:25, except by this time the phone was already off. So that means that this call, along with Shanann's friend's text messages, did not make it to the phone because the phone had already been turned off by that time. And she is very well aware that the call didn't go through and neither did the text messages. She's also well aware that her friends had stopped by the house hours earlier to check on her. Of course she does. Of course she does. How could she not know? I mean, look at this. Chris took a photo of the prairie at 12:16, and a minute later, Vivint alerts him that that Nicole Atkinson is at his front door. So of course she knows now that by this time Nicole Atkinson is at the door. Everything that she mentioned not to know happened exactly in this time frame. After she pinged in Frederick, after Shanann's phone turned off, and after shit hit the fan. Very interesting, isn't it? And again, when we look at all of these statements, it's not to say that just because the statement is written a certain way that it's an admission of guilt. It's not that. It is we're compiling everything that we know about Nicole Kessinger, all of her statements, all of her interviews, whether it's recorded or filmed or over the phone, everything that we have on her and all of her inconsistencies. And here we go again, a ton of other inconsistencies. So what do we think about this? This is I think this is the one that stood out to me the most. Okay, this bullet point here. So, question to you guys. All right, I'm going to put it in a poll. Poll time. The other type of poll, right? Like the questions. All right, start a poll. Okay. What do we think about this section here? Do we think that Nicole Kessinger is giving too much information? So it's going to be either truth, right? So she's telling us the truth here that she really wasn't aware. But the reason that she's telling us is because it's very important to her. She was actually upset that the plan didn't go through. Or is she really telling the truth? She really didn't know any of this. Or is it a Freudian slip? So 3 questions there. And I'll try to word them in a way that isn't so confusing. All right. So the question will be, do we think, I just want to see what you all think so we can move on with our theories, right? So do we think that NK was being truthful? Or actually, no, not being truthful. Obviously, she's not being truthful. Do we think that NK slipped, right? Slipped in sprinkling truth. Okay, so truth. Okay. Sprinkling. There we go. All right. So do we think that she slipped in sprinkling in some of the truth in here, right? As a way to make it seem like, oh, I really didn't know any of this was happening. Again, look at all of the facts that she gives us and then her feelings and, oh, I wasn't aware. All right. And then the last one is going to be, I don't know. All right. Yeah. NK and truthful don't go together. Yeah. Or leakage. Yeah. Freudian slips or leakage. Yeah. The minute the plan did not go her way was the minute she changed on Chris Watts. Yeah. I agree. She's covering her ass. Yep. I think NK was there. NA showed up the first time and then left out the back. And NA left to go check the doctor's office. Huh. All right. Yeah. Very, very, very interesting. It feels weird to be so angry and upset over people we don't know, right? But what he did, even before the murders, what his family did, what NK did, yeah, to that sweet woman and little girls, yeah. Yeah, we don't know them, but we know what they did. Yeah, we don't need to know them personally. Definitely, I mean, Chris Watts is an evil POS. We definitely don't need to know him personally. I mean, again, this is the kind of guy that wants his report card to be considered, right? This is a man who is still not taking any responsibility for his actions. And he is telling people, oh, I don't want anybody to judge me on this one tiny, tiny little blemish on my report card. It's just one little thing that I did. I lived for 33 years before I murdered my family. Can't you just check my report card before that? No, because your report card doesn't matter when you annihilate an innocent family. Carrie Fawcett, thank you so much. Oh, thank you so much for gifting a membership. Oh, I appreciate you so much. Welcome to members. Yeah, the phone being off is the same as with the washing machine. Someone stayed behind to switch it off. Yeah, and again, it's her statements, and we see the calendar, and then we see the events that happen. None of it is consistent. A lot of things don't add up, and it does seem like there were two people involved. There were two people that morning, and this is why it went the way it did. This is how it went. He still hasn't admitted it to his parents. Yeah, I didn't know until last week that they had actually documented that Chris used Snapchat, and yet they didn't even bother to get the data. Exactly. How are you not going to try to get the Snapchats? Especially when Nicole Kessinger lied and said, yeah, that's basically it. She was asked, is this the only mode of conversation that you had, or communication that you had with Chris? And she says, basically, yeah, pretty much. Again, what are those words called? What are they called? The pretty much and yeah, basically and kind of sorta. Minimization, downplaying behavior. Yeah, that's what she was doing. All right, let's continue. Okay, so the next thing that we see here is that she asked him why the cops were there. Okay, here we go. I asked him why the cops are there. Chris informed me that Shanann's friend Nicole had called them. Chris says that the media are arriving. When is he telling her this? Is he texting her? Where are those text messages? She deleted them. I was confused and asked him why they were there. Chris tells me that Nicole called the media. I asked Chris why he believed Nicole would call the cops and the media. He said Nicole wasn't being very nice to him. Informed me that she was sitting in the car on the phone with Shanann's mom. And here we go. The omission of the I again. Asked how Nicole knew Shanann's mom. Asked. Notice that everything before that, she used I. I asked him why the cops were there. I'm sure she did. She definitely asked, why are the cops there so early? She says, I asked why he believed Nicole would call the cops and the media. I do believe this too. I do believe that she asked him, hey, dude, why is Shanann's friend there? Why is she calling the cops? Why is she calling the media? Where did you mess up? Where did we mess up? Are we serious? Is she finding out that fast? Right? It does seem like she was really asking that question. And then here, she starts with asked. Asked how Nicole knew Shanann's mom. She didn't say I asked, because it doesn't seem like she asked this on August 13th. I do believe that she may have asked this, maybe. And there's really no reason to ask why Nicole knows Shanann's mom. Obviously, Nicole is one of her closest friends. So, of course, she's going to know Shanann's mom. This is a stupid question to ask. Why would she ask this? Makes no sense. I don't think she asked it. Chris informed me that Nicole used to work with Shanann's mom. Again, useless information. Okay, this is Monday the 13th, a missing woman and children. Again, we have to keep repeating it because that's how severe this is. And look at the questions that she's asking. How does Nicole know Shanann's mom? Why is she calling the cops so soon? Why is she calling the media? Hello? What kind of questions are these? Shanann, a woman who was supposed to go and have an appointment, didn't show up to her appointment. A woman who works from her phone every single day is nowhere to be found. Her kids are missing. Children that need EpiPens are nowhere to be found. Her shoes, her car, her keys, her wallet, her EpiPens, her phone, literally everything that she needs is at the house. And she's gone, missing, nowhere to be found. And she's asking questions like, why are the cops there? Why is she calling the media? I asked if he thought maybe Nicole was the friend that was helping Shanann to get away for a day. Chris says no. Why would Nicole be helping Shanann if she's the one who called the cops? Notice that this is something that Chris actually repeats to FBI agent Graham Coder. A lot of the time that he is being interviewed, he is trying to make it seem like Nicole may have, or who knows, probably a friend that I don't know. I've already reached out to everyone I know. Here, you can check. She probably left with someone that I don't know. And as we know, Nicole has also talked to Kevin Kovac over the phone and asked, I don't know, there was a boy there. A boy, he's like old enough to know things, old enough to run around the house and be able to look for things. And now she's mentioning it here again, saying that maybe it was Nicole that helped her get away. Why do we think that is? My opinion is that she's telling us this because it was, again, part of the plan. I think that the part of the plan was to make it seem like maybe one of her friends helped her leave. Maybe one of her friends knows her where she's at, right? Her location. Again, I think all of this is slippage, leakage. I suggested maybe it was to throw them off the trail. He did not agree. Notice this, the words that she uses. He did not agree. Okay? Chris Watts asked me if he should talk to the media. Oh my God. What? Chris asked me if he should talk to the media. Let's look at the calendar. Let's look at the calendar. Oh man, where is this calendar? I swear, I always lose these things. Where did it go? I had like 2 of them open and now they're all gone. Someone's in there. Someone's like hacking my stuff. Nicole's like, no, don't show the calendar. Joking. Okay, let's go ahead and look at the calendar. Okay, what just happened? Oh no. Blaming my technical issues on Nicole's cousin. Okay, here we go. Let's look at the calendar. So she is saying that Chris asked her if he should talk to the media. Okay. All right. So looking at the calendar, this is on the 13th. Okay. The media thing actually happened on the following day. It happened on the 14th, and that's why we can't see it here. On the 14th, Nicole Kessinger searched the news for 4 hours. This was before Chris even decided to get on the news, before he made a complete fool of himself. Nicole Kessinger was searching the news. Then Chris Watts tells people that he's doing the news interview at 12:31. Again, the following day. And then later in the day, Nicole Kessinger is looking up Shanann Watts again. But here she is claiming that Chris Watts asked me if he should talk to the media. This is on the 13th. Now, again, did she mess up? Is it possible maybe she got her days mixed up? She has said before, if it's nighttime and I'm still awake, it's not the next day yet, right? She has said that before. Oh, it's 2 a.m. I didn't close my eyes and then open them. So it's still the previous day. Again, it might be that she just, she didn't know. She's like, "Oh, I thought it was the 13th." But again, he is telling her that he's going to be talking to the news media, and he's asking her, "Should I?" Why? Why is he asking for permission or for advice or guidance from the mistress? Look at this. I initially told him no, and then suggested that if he decided to speak to them, then maybe he could ask Shanann to bring his kids back. What? So she's saying that at first she's like, no, 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 don't talk to them. Mm-mm. Why would you? She'll be back. Didn't she just go for a hike? And then she says, well, actually, if you do the media, ask her to bring your kids back. So which one is it? Let's go ahead and pause here for a second. Let's go ahead and visualize what she's saying here. She's saying that she first told Chris not to talk to the media. Shanann's missing, the kids are missing, and she's telling Chris, don't talk to the media. And then says, actually, talk to them, but ask for your kids back. Okay. So, again, which is it? If she believes that Shanann is coming back and she's not really missing, then why is she asking him to tell her via the news to bring his children back? What this is telling us is that Nicole Kessinger believed that Shanann had just taken off. Again, part of the plan, right? I think that all of this is part of the plan. Part of the plan. The plan fell through, and part of it was to make it seem like Shanann had taken off. And so here, while Chris is asking her, should I do the media? She is the one advising Chris, yes, you should, and you should be asking for your kids back. Because that way you can make it seem like she just left. She abandoned you. She left you. So you need to be asking for your kids back because she left you to be with somebody else. Or whatever idea, whatever the plan was supposed to be. But here, again, she is claiming that she told him to talk to the media, but to ask for his kids back. Again, guidance. This is all her guiding him through the entire ordeal. Very similar to the way that she gave him financial advice and legal advice, and she was his realtor and also his personal trainer at the same time. God, what other things? She was so many things for him. And here she's saying the same thing. I was also advising him on his media coverage. Yes, I became his manager. So now she's managing his media presence. She is everything, all of the above. Wow. Nicole Kessinger's resume must be immaculate. I mean, she must have all kinds of jobs lined up at this point. Oh my goodness. She's a jack of all trades. Wow. All right, the poll. So for the poll, we have 57 votes. Do we think that NK slipped in sprinkling the truth? Yes, 88% of us believe that she slipped in sprinkling the truth, and 12 say, I don't know. All right. What do you guys think? What do you guys think about everything? The way that she's writing this stuff. Yes, and then it dawned on her that it would look suspect if he didn't. Yeah. I hear you, but it's hard to believe that someone would lie to the extent that she does just to cover up that she had an affair with a married man. Exactly. Let's think about this logically, and I'm glad that somebody brought this up. Logically, this is a lot of lying. Not only is it a lot of lying, it's a lot of deleting of evidence. All things that are punishable by law, it's illegal. It's against the law to interfere with an investigation, and it's definitely a law against the law to lie to police. That is a lot of risk just to hide that she was having an affair with a married man. She is risking going to prison for lying to police to hide an affair. It is more likely that she is willing to risk going to prison by deleting evidence and lying to police if she's risking going to prison for being an accomplice to a quadruple homicide. It is more likely that someone is going to put this much effort into lying to hide a quadruple homicide. Not just, oh, I cheated, or oh, I was the mistress and I'm just so ashamed. Why would anybody risk going to prison just to hide shame? It is not logical whatsoever. Tracy Jones, thank you so much for the €5. Thank you so, so much. Appreciate you. Nicole is a homewrecker too. Yes. Yes. Yeah. And so when we look at this, we're visualizing it, right? From the perspective of someone who is talking to police. You're talking to police and you're putting yourself at risk here. Again, when you're talking to police in such a gruesome murder, what everyone advises for you to do is to get a lawyer. This is huge. This is a quadruple homicide. Again, 4 people dead, murdered. They advise you to get a lawyer. She didn't do that. She didn't do that. Why? Many reasons, right? She probably just really wanted to get through with it, and she didn't want to give the impression that she was guilty of anything. And so she came in willingly telling her side of the story. But it doesn't make sense the amount of lies and the effort that she put in just to hide an affair. This is a lot of lies, a lot of manipulation, and none of it doesn't make sense if all you're going to do is hide shame. All right, let's continue. I initially told him no, right? And then maybe he can get his kids back. Look at this. Was uncomfortable. Who was uncomfortable? Who? The neighbor, her friend, her dad, her stuffed animal, her dog. Who was uncomfortable with him asking for my advice on the media, right? Look, was uncomfortable with him asking for my advice on the media. So then I asked him what his friends thought he should do about the media. She left out the word I again. Omission of pronouns. She didn't leave it out up here. I suggested maybe to throw them off the trail. I initially told him no, but then I suggested that maybe he should. And then she says, after she admitted that, yeah, she told him to speak to the media, then she says, was uncomfortable though. Was uncomfortable. I was really uncomfortable asking for advice on the media. So then I said, I don't know. Don't ask me. Ask your friends. What do they think? Was uncomfortable. Chris Watts says that his friends believe that it would look bad if he didn't speak to the news and thought that he should make a statement. Exactly. And it's probably not just the friends that believed that. It was Nicole Kessinger as well. Notice she told him initially, no, don't speak to the media because you are an idiot. You're a potato head. You asked me how much the Dead Sea Scrolls are, so you might make a fool of yourself on the news. No, don't do it. And then she realized, actually, you should, because it's going to look bad if you don't. If you don't make a statement, you're going to look bad. And then I think that she may have even Googled Scott Peterson. Remember, Nicole Kessinger Googled Amber Frey numerous times, her net worth. Did people hate her? What about her book deal? She knows a lot about the Scott Peterson case. She probably also Googled it and told Chris, I read a lot. Why don't you just read? I read about this case about Scott Peterson and he went on the news. I think you should too. Again, this is just my opinion and speculation, but I believe that that's exactly how it happened. Boops, thank you so much for the super chat. Thank you so much for the $5. I appreciate you. Speaking about lawyers, She has never sued anyone for slander because a lawsuit would open all the old evidence up to discovery. She can't have that. Yes, Boops. Thanks for bringing that up. Yes. Well, in order for something to be slander, it has to be proven that it's not true. And in order for it to be proven that it's not true, the investigation has to be conducted. And it's very true. You would have to open an investigation into everything that she's saying is slander. You're calling me a liar. Okay, well, let's go ahead and look at the data. Have the courts open it for you. Let's go ahead and look at all of the lies. You're saying I'm calling you a liar, then prove it. Prove that you're not a liar. Very interesting, right? Thank you so much, Boops. Thank you for that. All right. Next one. Here we go. We're moving into the phone. Here at the top she said text. Then she says phone. Let's look at the phone. Now she's starting with I now. So we're going to assume that this statement is true or that there is a lot of truth sprinkled in here. I asked Chris Watts if the cops had attempted to search his friends' houses since he believed that Shanann had gone to stay with a friend. Wow. What do we think about this? I do believe that she was probably asking, are they going to go look into your friends' homes? Are they going to look at my house? She was probably wondering this too. Are they going to search my home? I don't want them coming here. He told me no, they hadn't. I asked him, why not? And he told me he didn't know why they didn't or why they hadn't. Again, a bullet point for this sentence, it's a useless information. Another bullet point. I asked him why Nicole did not like him. Again, why does it matter? Mom, girls, missing. And she's asking questions like, why doesn't Nicole like you, Chris? Why are Shanann's friends so mean to you? I don't understand, Chris. I know that your family is missing right now, but can you please explain to me? Why is Nicole so mean to you? Oh, I don't like that we have the same name. I don't like it at all. Explain to me. Give me examples. When else was she mean to you? Oh, she said that to you? She called you a potato head? I don't think you have a potato head, no. I think you're lovely. What? This is what she's telling the investigators that she asked? Who cares? I asked him why Nicole did not like him. He said he wasn't sure. I'm not sure, Nikki. She just doesn't like me. Yeah, it's because you're a liar and because you murdered your family. He wasn't sure. I asked Chris Watts if Nicole was married and how well he knew Nicole and her husband. Okay, right? Again, she's getting a lot of information, not from Shanann, right? She's not trying to ask, again, she's not asking the questions that should be there. Let's go ahead and go back to this, right? What are the things that should be there that are not? Here, let's, it was somewhere in here that I wanted to go over the things that she's adding a lot of detail about things that don't matter, but nothing about the things that she should be asking. Okay, right here. Leaving out critical information entirely. What should be in there but isn't? What should be in this statement on the 13th? Where is your family? When was the last time you spoke to her, Chris? Where your kids at? Have you called the hospitals? Have you talked to anybody else? Have you, I don't know, have you driven down the street to find her? Where are they? Don't talk to me until you find them, right? These are all the questions that a logical person would be asking, right? Someone who really is innocent, someone who is expecting the family to be back. She's not asking any of those questions. She's asking questions about Nicole Atkinson and why she doesn't like Chris. Wow. Asked him, oh, look at this. Wow, we're getting into the meat of this entire situation here. I asked, okay, so she's asking that. He informed me that he did not know her husband. Hardly at all. I again suggested that maybe Nicole was the one who was helping Shanann to hide out from him for a while. Chris said maybe, but he didn't really seem like he was entertaining the idea. Wow. Is this another Freudian slip here? Is this just, again, Nicole Kessinger telling partial truths here? Is that what she's doing here? This sounds like a partial truth. She is really trying to get Chris almost to go with this idea. Hey, Chris, tell the police that maybe you think Nicole Atkinson is in on this. And Chris is like, yeah, no, I don't think that's gonna work. I know Nicole Atkinson, and that's not gonna work. And of course, because Nicole Kessinger doesn't know Atkinson, she's the one coming up with these ideas. But Chris knows how close Shanann and Nicole Atkinson are, so that this is where he's pushing back, right? That's what I'm seeing from this. What do we think? What do you guys think? I asked him, I told him, I asked him. Yep, exactly. Exactly, KTD. Well, he didn't tell the cops to break the window to get in the house. Rourke said he will not open an investigation on NK, so we got to wait until 2029 when the new DA comes in. Yes. 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 Oh, I forgot. A couple nights ago, I was working grave shift. This guy came in and a kid, and he looked just like Chris Watts, potato head and all. Oh my goodness. Oh, Tammy. I bet you were afraid. You were like, what's that? Did he have like the shiny temples though too? That's how you would really know it's him. You're blinded by it. Especially grave shift, right? It's all dark, and then you just see a shine, a blast of light in your retinas in the middle of the night. You're like, oh my god, Chris Watts, is that you? Shanann's family and friends would not use police resources to look for her and the girls if she really went to stay in with them. The theory clearly wouldn't work. Exactly, yeah. I thought she wasn't even worried. Exactly. So again, none of this actually makes sense. And he was not entertaining the idea that Atkinson might have been the one who was helping Shanann get away with it or, run off and disappear. Look at this. Asked him, all right, she dropped the I again. She dropped the pronoun. Asked him if he thought she was with another man. Asked him if he thought she was with another man. Notice that she didn't say I. So the likelihood is that this is a full-on lie. This is a lie. And I think that it was just part of the plan to make it seem like Shanann took off with another man. Chris Watts said it's possible, but he didn't think so. We've already heard in the interviews from both of them stating that maybe, right, Nicole Kessinger mentioned, I don't know, he told me that maybe she had another man on the side, but I don't know if it was true, right? She was sprinkling the idea in there. She wasn't really doubling down on it, but she did sprinkle it in there. She added it. She's like, oh, just a little tidbit. Here you go. Boop. Chris told me that maybe she has another man. Just the same way that she sprinkled, I don't know. Aren't you guys investigating some serial killer around the area? Maybe it was a serial killer, right? She's throwing all of her theories out there. None of them, of course, being the real theory, which is Chris Watts murdered his family to be with her. She says, no, it's not me. I was not the catalyst. He would have murdered his family anyway. Again, every single step of her interview is just her deflecting and distancing herself from the entire crime. I asked if he thought his family was in danger. I asked, she says. I asked if he thought his family was in danger. Chris Watts said, if my kids are with her, then they are safe. If my kids are with her, then they are safe? This is how you respond when your children and your wife are missing? Oh my goodness. Never said he was worried or concerned about his family unless I prompted the question. Except she never prompted the question. It looks like she only did it once. Is your family in danger? Where's your family, Chris? Where's your family? Looking back on everything, I am so glad that Nicole showed up that day to check on her friend. This is a perfect example of something that we're about to look at. Look at here. What was that? Looking back on everything, I'm so glad that Nicole showed up to check on her friend. What is that an example of? What is that an example of? Let's see. That is an example of okay, so the story did not flow naturally. It is over justification again. I would never hurt anyone. She's saying, I'm so glad looking back on everything, right? In retrospect, I'm so glad that Atkinson showed up to check on her friend. Except earlier, she was asking a bunch of questions about why Atkinson hates Chris. Why does she hate you, Chris? And then she says, you know what? Thinking back on it, though, I'm glad she showed up. What? Convincing statements. Look at this. Trying to persuade instead of simply report. She's not just reporting facts, right? That's not what she's doing here. She's not just reporting on what was told to her. She is making sure that she says things like, I was not aware. And in retrospect, right? Looking back on everything, I'm so glad Nicole showed up. That is a classic example of convincing statements. Example, trying to persuade someone instead of simply reporting. I swear on my life, I'm glad that she showed up. Believe me when I say that I'm so glad that Atkinson showed up. Honestly, so glad she showed up. I'm telling the truth when I say that I'm so glad that she showed up. Truthful people often just provide information. Exactly. A truthful person would not have to tell us that she was looking that she's glad, right? In a statement to police that she's glad that Nicole Atkinson showed up to check on her. This tells me that she was not glad that Nicole Atkinson showed up to check on her when she did. Because again, it threw off the entire plan. It threw off their whole plan. All right, let's go ahead and see the poll. All right, we are at 80 votes. And the majority of us think that NK slipped some of the truth in there. Awesome. Perfect. All right, so then we will move on. We will move on with leakage. That's what she was doing here, leakage. Do we believe there was leakage going on everywhere else, right? Probably. I believe so. Definitely a lot of leakage, especially this last sentence. I'm so glad she showed up. Just like Chris Watts. She was as glad as Chris Watts was glad to see Nicole Atkinson. Let's go ahead and watch Chris Watts and how he reacts when he sees Shanann's dear friend there. He's like, oh, it's you. Hello. He doesn't even acknowledge her. It looks like he's so upset. He's so mad at her that she called the police that he doesn't even acknowledge that she's there. It is so obvious that he's pissed. Let's go ahead and watch.
Police department, if anyone's inside, make yourself known. Police department, if anyone's inside, make yourself known.
I'm here. Hang on. Yeah, get me on the phone. Okay, get Max on the phone.
Scott, how you doing?
How's it going?
So this is the only vehicle she would have?
Only one that, yeah.
She would drive? Okay.
Nothing. Nothing. Not even a hi, not a, oh my God, Nicole, what happened? Where's Shanann? Thank you for calling the police. I'm so glad that you called them. Here, come inside my house. let's find Shanann and the girls. No, 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 none of that. He went straight to opening the garage because he knew that the door was latched from the inside. So he knew that even if he tried to open it with the key or if he put in the code to the front door, he knew he wouldn't be able to get in. Why? Because it was latched from the inside. How did he know that? It was latched. So he goes in through the garage, and the first thing he does is not go inside the house to look for his family, right? He's not looking for his family. He's looking for something inside Shanann's Lexus.
1:48 in the morning. That's me. Is that you at
Yeah.
1:48?
The neighbors went and checked his cameras and he said that a white car drove away at 1. It was me though. That was me. I dropped her off.
That was the last action on my camera.
Okay. That's throughout the whole day, or?
Besides Chris leaving.
Well, yeah.
Look at her face. Look at her face and look at the concern and the worry in her body. You can just observe her body movements, right? She's very clearly distraught. She's worried. She's concerned. Where is Shanann? She literally always texts me in the morning. Where is she? And then you see Potato Head just be like, hello, sir. I don't know. I don't know where they be. And then goes inside the house and locks himself up for like 2 whole minutes straight. All right, let's go back to our statement, okay? Looking back on everything, so glad she showed up. I believe that. Not. All right, 9. She added another Monday here. Let's go ahead and see what she says. Over the phone. Chris Watts says his home camera shows him leaving for work at 5:15, like usual that morning. Interesting, right? She knows the time that he left. Chris tells me that his home alarm notified him that at 9:10, his garage door opened, but that he never received a notification on his phone that it closed again. I asked him if his garage was open when he got home from work that day, and he told me no. I asked Chris if he thought that Shanann left out of the garage at 9:10 in the morning. He suggested that she either left out the garage door or the back door because there is no footage of her leaving from the front door camera. I asked Chris if there was any sign of forced entry, and he told me no. Told me he didn't want to keep talking about that subject and asked me to talk about something else. What else can they possibly talk about? A whole family is missing, and Nicole Kessinger is claiming that Chris told her, let's not talk about this. It's not really all that important. Can we talk about the museum that we went to? I really liked that car. Yeah. I really like that red one. And I'm so glad that we got those Vin Diesel heads on clearance. Oh my God. I'm so glad we got so many of them at such a great deal. I don't know what they were going to be talking about, but definitely not the case of a pregnant woman and her missing children. But here we go. I want to just look into what she said about 9:10 that morning. She says it twice in this statement. On the 13th, right? A very crucial day in the entire timeline, the day of the murders. On the day of the murder, she remembers very specifically 9:10 in the morning. 9:10, his garage door was left open. Let's go ahead and look at the calendar. The calendar shows that Nicole Kessinger pinged in Frederick at 6:16 in the morning. Okay? At 9:10, his garage door opened. Now remember, this is something that Chris Watts mentions over and over and over and over and over and over again. Ad nauseum. He's so annoying about it. Constantly talking about how the garage door was left open. It told me it's left open, but I don't know. It was probably Nikki's son, right? He does the whole thing. He's like, it was probably Nick. And he short circuits when he talks about it was probably Nick going out of the garage. I've always wondered if that was a Freudian slip, if he actually meant to say, oh, it was Nikki. Nikki left out through the garage door that morning, and that's why he short circuits. Let's look at the calendar. Let's look at it again, okay? Let's look at it from the time that he was at Servi, because it looks like this is when it all happened. Okay, so at Servi, Chris staged the call. At 8 a.m., the phone was off, okay? So these calls did not go through. Neither did this one, okay? Or sorry, neither did this one at 8:25. Chris calls the school at 9:26. The realtor is called. Chris Watts leaves Servi 319 at 9:30. So somewhere between the time that the phone was turned off and before Chris left Servi, Nicole Kessinger, okay, again, opinion, and this is just speculation, it looks like Nicole Kessinger may have left the house at around 9:10 in the morning. Again, this is just my opinion, and I'm speculating based on the evidence that we have. Nicole Kessinger mentions a very specific time twice. This time is not mentioned anywhere else. Even when Chris is talking about the garage door being open, he mentions a bunch of different little times, but he's never really specific, right? He's like, I don't know, it told me that it's open at this time, and then it told me that it got locked back up, and then it told me this, and it told me that. Except here, Nicole Kessinger very, very, very vividly remembers 9:10. What is the importance of 9:10 in the morning? After Shanann's phone was turned off, at 9:10 in the morning, the garage door, right, was left open, which is why it let Chris know in the notification from Vivint that the door was left open. Rox, can you check on Tommy's girl? It said I hit her, dropped my phone. Oh no. Oh no. Thanks, Tammy. Yeah, definitely. I'll go ahead and check. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Tammy. Yeah, everything looks good on my end. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, there we go. All right, there we go. Everything's back to normal. All right, Tommy's girl, you're back. It was an accident. But yeah, what do we think about this? The 9:10, I saw that and I thought it was really, really, really crazy because she remembers this time so vividly. And when we look at the calendar, it would make sense that that would be the time that she took off. Now let's go ahead and look at her phone records one more time. She received a call at 2:28 p.m. that morning, or sorry, p.m. that morning, p.m. that afternoon. In Platteville, which is where Anadarko is located. So that means that when she took this call, it was likely that she was already at work at 2:28 p.m. We don't know what time Nicole Kessinger arrived to work that day. But we know, right? We know just based on her records that she was at work at least by 2:28. Did she get to work at 2 p.m., at 1, at noon? What time did she get there? We don't know that information. But now we do have a time that seems to be of importance because she wrote it twice. And the thing about this is that, again, when we analyze all this data, right, all this information, we have to go with the knowledge, right, that Nicole Kessinger had no idea what the police had on her. They know that they pulled text messages and that they were able to pull some information, but she doesn't know to what extent. Even on the last day that she met up with Kobach, she tried very, very hard to get as much information before she left that day. She wanted to make sure that she wasn't going to get in trouble. She said it so many times. I just want to make sure that I'm not in trouble. For what? Says Kevin. What would you be in trouble for? And she's like, I don't know. It's just... Again, why would she be in trouble? It's because she doesn't know what the police has. And I assume, right? This is again my opinion and speculation. I believe that the reason that she put in 910 twice is because she believes that there is data out there somewhere. That somewhere the Vivint did show somebody leaving at 910. And I think that this is why she put it in there, because she might have believed that the police knew exactly at what time that garage door opened that morning. So she needed to make sure and say, I don't know, that's what he told me. I don't know, he told me that. Maybe she left. Maybe there was some movement in there, but I don't know. Again, why? Why the very specific time? What do we think about this? What do we think about the time? Do we think it's BS or do we think it's significant? I'm going to go ahead and ask this in the poll. Do we think the 910 garage door open notification is important? That's going to be the question. Or actually, I'm just going to go ahead and let's just go ahead and throw in there. Do we think that the 9 a.m. garage notification is the time that she left? And this is really going to tell us, whether it is significant or not. It might be, right? I have not seen this time anywhere else, right? We know other times. We know 1:48 is when Shanann showed up. We know 2 a.m. is when she was in bed, right? We know all of these little details. 5:15 is when Chris Watts went out to get his pickup truck. 5:48 is when he left the garage, or, he left for Survey 319. We have all of these other times, but 9:10 is not a time that I have seen anywhere else in the discovery. In fact, we don't have it anywhere in the calendar. Look at this. We go from 8:43 to 9:30. There is no in between. There is no 9:10 in here. This is the first time that I have seen 9:10 pop up twice. And it's coming from Nicole Kessinger, and it is on the most crucial day of the case, Monday the 13th. And it's also on a day that Nicole Kessinger had no alibis, no real alibis. No phone calls from Chris or to Chris on that morning, again, on the day of the murders. Conveniently, they didn't talk to each other that morning. How weird. How weird. Given that they spoke every day, every single day that they were together, they spoke on the phone. All right. Do we think that the garage notification is the time she left? 60% say yes, 17 say no, and 23 say I don't know. Okay. So for the no's and the I don't knows, the question for you is, do we think the 9:10 notification is significant then? Maybe she didn't leave at 9:10, but do we think there is a significance to the time? I'm going to go ahead and end this poll. The majority say, and this is just 36 votes, but majority say yes, that is the time that she left. Let me just go ahead and ask the question of, do we think it's significant? And I just like to do this because I want to narrow things down, and I just want to see what the majority of us believe based on the evidence. Again, this is all brainstorming that we're doing here. None of this, again, right? It's all real evidence. We're looking at the real data, but we're just coming up with our theories based on logic, right? Based on how we're viewing the evidence. But I just want to see what the consensus is. So do we think 9:10 a.m. Whoop. Did I? Oh, no, I didn't. Okay. Do we think 9:10 a.m. is significant? Because if it isn't significant, then why would she say it? Why is she saying 9:10 twice? And then the last question is, I don't know. All right. Hey, no, it's others. Thank you for your service. I know you were in the military. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. Giselle Hunter. Thank you so much. There were no cameras in the back. Yeah, what do you do if you're hidden because anything you type can't be seen? Oh, yes, Tommy's girl. Yeah, you're back. Yeah. But yeah, if you're hidden, you can't see anything. In the interview, she cut off her dad when she mentioned, or when he mentioned, so she didn't want to talk about it in person. Oh. Okay. She told detectives she was distancing herself from Chris post murder. The neighbors described the truck being like the exact same truck Dwayne Kessinger drove. Okay. So 34 votes, 35 votes, and we still, okay, so in our last poll, 60% believed that the 9:10 time is when she left. But now we believe, so 92% believe that it was significant. So even if she didn't leave at 9:10, we still believe that 9:10 is significant. So why do we believe that 9:10 is significant? If she didn't leave at this time, why did she say it twice? If she went out the back door, Chris could have run and locked it in the 90-second delay, and that's the only realistic way I picture her getting out. Yes. Just Josie's, that's yes. You guys have said so many, yeah, just given so many ideas and theories and just clues to everything. Just based on everything that we know. Okay, yeah, so she went out the back door. Interesting, okay. She may have gone out the back door. Okay. I do remember, though, Nicole Atkinson mentioning that when she looked through the window, right? When she's in here. Oh, where is it? Let's go back to the screen right here. She's here, right? And she's looking. She said that, so right here, you can actually see, I don't know if it's here or here where the glare is, but you can see through the back sliding door. And she said that even the little stick that closes the window so that you can't open it, even that was down. So she did mention that. She mentioned that the stick to close the sliding door was down. So if the sliding door was closed and that was latched, did she get out through the basement? Did she get out through the bottom here? Here, let's go ahead and just check some of this footage here. Right here?
Oh, it doesn't?
Could she have gotten in through here and left through there and then gone through the back? Again, there's no cameras in the front, so she was not going to be seen through the front. And as we know, neighbor Nate had a camera directly looking into the Watts residence right next door. We would have seen a figure leave later in the day or in the morning, right? If it was at 9:10 that she was leaving and she left through here, we would have seen it. But again, Chris and Nicole would have been aware that there was a camera recording here. So then she didn't leave through there. She may have left through somewhere else. Dogs barking in the basement. I think she went out of the basement. Was Dieter there at the time? Oh, where was Dieter at the time? I don't know. He was here the whole time, right? Cosmo. Oh no. Oh, Cosmo. What does Nick say to cop? And the laundry going. Leslie, I thought, okay, threw the book too, and Chris Watts would never really say he threw it in the trash. Yeah, lots of questions here. Who threw the book that Shanann bought Chris in the trash? Was it him? Or was it Nicole Kessinger? All right, so then did she leave through here? And then once we look down into the actual basement, let's see, let's go ahead and see if There's a part here where they go into the basement. Right here. Lots of windows. This one is covered, but there's also a bed next to it, right? So it, if we're gonna think about this, rationally prior to the murders, we can definitely, we can assume that they would put something at the, on the window so that the sun won't go in and wake you up. So with that assumption, let's just go ahead and move on and say that the sheet was already there. And I know V-Bug called it in the past. That is NK's witch cape. NK's witch cape that got stuck when she was getting in through the window. All right, so we go down the stairs, and the first window that we see is this one, right next to two refrigerators. And then we saw another window here, but they went by really fast. Then there's this other window here. And then here's the bed. And here is this tarp. So yeah, I think it's rational, right? Logical to believe that this was there before to cover the sun from coming in. There's another window over here though. Right, another one there. One, two, three, four, five. I counted 5 windows in the basement. 5. There might be more that we're not seeing, but I counted 5. 1, 2, 3. The one that is covered with Nicole Kassinger's witch cape, and then the one behind that we just saw, right? So there's 5 windows in the basement that she could have escaped from if she was there, right? If she was there, allegedly could have escaped from. 9:10. That is a time that pops up twice. All right, 49 votes say that they think that the 9:10 a.m. is significant. All right, so we definitely think 9:10 a.m. is significant. Let's see what else we can find around excuse me. What else we can find around 9:10 in the morning. Again, I write all of these things down and then I go back and look anything up, go back through the discovery and see if there's anything else that mentions 9:10 or anything else that might make sense with the timeline. Because again, 0 sense. But yeah, and that was it. And then she told, yeah, no forced entry, right? Of course, really. She would ask this. Of course not. There's no forced entry if she was let in. And then the very last sentence that she writes is, told me he didn't want to keep talking about it and to change the subject. He asked me to talk about something else. And that's when they supposedly started to talk about something else. And that's it. That's it. 7 pages. 7 pages total of a bunch of fluff. Monday the 13th had a lot of bullet points, but a lot of it, again, fluff. Why doesn't Atkinson like you? How does Atkinson know Shanann's mom? What is Atkinson's favorite color? A bunch of nonsense questions. And then at the end says, oh, I'm just so glad that Nicole showed up to check on her friend. Again, no reason to add that, but she added it anyway. And then she added her phone conversations, and we didn't even really go down the calendar to see how many of these things actually added up. None of it, really, because she talked about the 13th and she did not mention that she called her spiritual advisor. She also didn't mention that she was talking to this really strange guy that pops up, right? Chris Getman from CNJ Energy called Nicole Kessinger, and they spoke for 4 minutes. She also doesn't mention anything about the other calls that she had with Chris Watts in the middle of the night. She did not mention that she was playing phone tag with the police. In none of her statement does she mention that she was up at 2 in the morning with Chris Watts trying to get on a three-way call. There is no mention of that whatsoever. There's also no mention that she called Chris Getman first thing in the morning, right here, on August the 14th. No mention at all, right? She talks about the 14th very briefly, and she adds it as like, oh, it's just from the above conversation. It's continued. Look, this is it. Opened a second bank account. That's all she talked about on the 14th. That's all that happened. He opened a bank account. Again, zero mention that she Googled Ronnie and Saratoga Trail. Zero mention that Chris Getman called her. Zero mention about her searching Shanann Watts, right? Zero mention of that. Lots of omission. Yeah, what do we think? And again, none of this, right? None of this is a true indication that Nicole Kessinger is completely guilty, right? This is not what we're doing. But what we can say is that once you compile everything that we know about Nicole Kessinger and you read her statement, we can definitely see that there is a lot of omission and a lot of deception. I don't think that there is any argument about that unless, I don't know, does anybody disagree? The toll-free number. Yes. Yeah, letters from Christopher. Where did Cow hide Dieter? Because you don't hear Dieter barking when the police was banging on the doors and the windows. We all know how loud the small dog is. Wait, wasn't Dieter in... Wait a minute. Let's go ahead and watch this. Let's go ahead and watch. Because wasn't Dieter in the basement? I thought Dieter was in the basement when they walk in. Let's go ahead and watch this together.
Oh, you're fine. Oh, you're fine.
All right, where was he? Let's see this again.
You checked upstairs. She's not there. I just want to make sure.
So there's no Dieter. Dieter is not out. There is no Dieter right now. Where is he? Did he get locked in the basement? Oh my God, Boobs, thank you so much for the $2. Thank you so much. Aw, I appreciate it so much. Thank you for the super chat. The other Chris would have info on Fume illness. Oh my God. I have to write that down. I have to write, wow. And we have looked into the other Chris, right? We have looked into what he has, or what his role was with CNJ Energy, so we know what type of job he had, and he was an oil lineman is what it's called, right? Or something like that. Eric Isa, thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Aw, thank you guys so much. Appreciate the $10. Daniel also came to town and was paid by NK. Yes, Danielle. Yes, yes, yes. That's very, very true. Do we have that in the calendar? I wanted to make sure somebody mentioned that in the community the other day, and I wanted to make sure that I had it in here. Because yes, that's a very important piece of information as well, is that her friend Danielle actually flew in on Friday. So she stayed with Nicole Kessinger from Friday through Saturday through Sunday. Why? Again, it's possible that Nicole Kessinger was trying to have an alibi. But where was she while Chris and Nicole were playing Twister, supposedly? And now it's possible that she went to the Rockies game with her friend Danielle. But again, where did they have Twister time? Lots of questions. All right. And let's go ahead and keep watching. Yeah, let's go ahead and keep watching this because where is Dieter? There is no Dieter. I did not hear Dieter.
She's not passed out somewhere. Is she diabetic?
And there you heard him. So now Chris is walking to where it looks like the basement. Let's keep watching.
You mind if I look around?
Dieter's in the basement. Dieter was in the basement the whole time. Wait. Why would Dieter be in the basement?
You checked upstairs. She's not there. I just want to make sure she's not passed out somewhere. Is she diabetic? You mind if I look around? Okay, thanks. Oh, you're fine. Oh, you're fine.
He was in the basement the whole time. Did Chris put Dieter in the basement that morning so that he wouldn't be barking while Chris was putting Shanann in the truck? Left Dieter in the basement the whole entire time so that a certain someone can sneak in through the window, do all of the things that they were supposed to do, right? Pretend to be Shanann, get in the car, drive out without having Dieter barking at them the whole time. Dieter is loud. And you wouldn't want a dog barking at 6 a.m, right? When she arrived, allegedly. You would not want a dog barking at you, a stranger, at 6:16 in the morning while you're in the house that doesn't belong to you. You're not supposed to be there, and no one's supposed to be there at that hour because why is the dog barking? Is that why Dieter was locked up in the basement the whole time? This is so insane. Again, this is just opinion, right? This is just my opinion or speculation. I'm really wondering out loud here. What would be the other reason for putting Dieter away in the basement of all places? The basement. I do know that Thayers came to get Dieter out of there, and eventually Dieter went to Frankie. Yes. Yeah, while she ransacked the office too. Yeah, poor Dieter who put him in the cage. Yes. So he wouldn't confront the intruder. Exactly. In the basement the whole time. It sounds like Dieter is trying to tell policemen what happened. If she came over to the house before, the dog would be used to encase scent. Yes, he went down to let him out of the crate. Yes. Yep. Yeah, that is exactly where he was. That's where he was the whole time. So he wasn't allowed to bark. He was down in the basement the whole time. So if there was someone around the house ransacking the office and moving things around, Dieter was locked away. So then Dieter couldn't get in the way. He couldn't be making noise. He couldn't be barking while that person was allegedly trying to get information.
You mind if I look around? Okay, thanks. Oh, you're fine. Oh, you're fine.
It breaks my heart to hear Dieter. It breaks my heart to hear him bark. Especially after this. He witnessed the whole thing. The poor dog, poor Dieter, he witnessed the whole thing, and then the murderer is showing up and he's like, "Hi, here's Chris." And then Dieter's like, "Ah," right? He's like freaking out because he's like, "You are a murderer." The poor doggy, he was locked up in the basement the whole time. What time was Chris supposed to show up this day? Could you imagine if Nicole Atkinson had not shown up that day? Dieter would have been down there the entire day, however long it was going to take Chris to move the bodies around or do whatever he needed to do. Dieter was just going to be down there the whole time? Roxanne, you take a poll. I think Dieter was in the mud room. The mud room. KTD was, he was in the mud room, not the basement. The mud room? What is the mud room? Not in the basement. The poor dog sounds stressed. Wait, that's not the basement? It's not the basement. Wait, what is the mud room? I've never heard of mud room. Wait, that was the base. That is the basement, isn't it? Mudroom is where you put dirty sheets and jackets. Wilderness Explorer, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I appreciate the super chat. Shouldn't Chris be acting shocked that Shanann locked Dieter in the basement? Great question. Yes. See, this is why I love doing this with you all because, you know, some of us don't catch everything. We are all so obsessed with this case after so many years, and we are still missing things. We are still missing all of these ideas that we can throw out there. I love it. Yes. Why is he in the basement when Shanann is supposed to be at a play date? Why is he not acting shocked? Why is the dog down here? Right? Very good point. Again, why is he not acting shocked? Who would put Dieter in the basement if Shanann told him that she went on a play date? It's just not common for them to do this, right? It is not, they were not known to lock up Dieter when they were gone. His cage is in the mud room. The mud room is down the hall from the kitchen on the way to the garage. Okay, let's go ahead and see this again. A lot of you are saying it's in the mud room. Let's go ahead and see this again. Should we slow it down? I'm going to go ahead and slow it down a little. Playback speed just to see if we know where he was. Okay, that wasn't it. Where is it? All right, right there.
You mind if I look around? Go ahead. Thanks.
All right, so right there he went down the basement, right? So he just sidetracks to the basement. That's what I originally thought. Chris just sidetracks to the basement. Okay. Cuz we hear Dieter barking. Is this the room we're talking about? That one? I get what you're saying. Okay, yes, I see it now. Okay. See, I'm glad that we are doing this and that we are doing it in slow motion because I see what you're saying now. So it looks like he deviates, right? So he goes to the basement, but that's not actually where Dieter is. So what is he doing in the basement then? He goes down the basement and then comes back up because you hear his feet. He's like, right? He's trying to make it seem like he's going somewhere and he's on a mission. I want to find my family, but first, let me take the dog out, right? He's not even worried about anything else. Let's go ahead and see this again. Okay. So here he went up the stairs of the basement. He's acting stupid, right, on his phone. He's like, where's my family? And he's now going to this door, right? Now, this is where Dieter is at. So Dieter was not even locked up in the basement. He's locked up in a separate room. Which I was thinking, why would they hide him in the basement, especially if Chris brought Shanann down there to the basement to get her prepped to put her in the truck. Why would he put Dieter down there? But it does seem like, yes, he hid Dieter in a completely separate room. Yeah. So Chris is walking. There is no Dieter behind him, and that's because now he's gonna get Dieter. Love it. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much, Cosmo, and everybody else who called this out. Okay, now we know he is not in the basement. He was in the mudroom. Then he turned on the light. You guys, I really wish we can just move the cop over. I'm like, stay with Chris. Why are you going everywhere else? Stay with him. He is your primary suspect. It always is. The spouse is the primary suspect every time somebody goes missing. I don't know why the cops are out here like, hello, anybody? Shanann? That's her name, right? Right? Because the cops are like, what's her name again? Shannon? Okay. Shanann. Kids. Instead of staying with Chris, stay with him. Stay with him. God. I wish I could just move his body. Move, guy. God. Okay, he's looking in the...
You're fine.
Go there. No. Look, this is her office. So Dieter was in the room right next to her office. Could you imagine all the barking that he was doing when there was someone ransacking Shanann's office? Turn. There we go. Did you see Shanann's Lexus? The door is still open. All right, where's Dieter at? Chris locked him away this time. So very interesting then. What did Chris do? He ran downstairs and he comes back up and he's like, I'm going to take the dog out. What the heck was he doing in the basement? Notice Chris is running all over the house. Where is he? He's running all over the place. He's pretending to be worried, right? Or on a mission. But the real mission that he's on here is hiding evidence while the police are there. He's making sure, okay, I want to make sure that This is where it's supposed to be. Want to make sure that I moved or cleaned everything down in the basement. It does seem, right? Like that's what he's doing. But then the way that he's acting, he's making it seem like he is worried, and that's why he's moving the way that he's moving, right? With ambition. He's like, "Yeah, I'm going to move here." He's beelining it to the next area. Let me go to the kitchen. Let me go upstairs. Let me take the dog out. Yeah, but it's all because he is nervous. He's nervous. The plan fell through, and now he's trying to pretend like everything is just, "Oh, I'm so worried. Where's everybody at?" When in reality, he's hiding evidence yet again. Yet again. So, yeah, I mean, that is all, guys. That is all I have for you guys today. We went through the entire 7 pages of Nicole Kessinger's statement. And we can go through it again just to see all of the little I's and the little omissions at the very beginning of her statement. But I will say that everything that she said on the 13th was a big tell. I think, especially because, again, it's the 13th. This is the biggest day out of this whole case. And Nicole Kessinger always claims that she doesn't know. Oh, what was Monday? Is that the 13th? Is it Kobach, Kevin? Is it the 13th? I don't know. I just, Monday was just not a big deal for me. I think I did core that day. Was it core day or was it buys and back? I think it was buys and back. The double B's. She doesn't even remember. Come on. How could you not remember? But we saw everything that she added, and none of it was of importance. Did anyone else up in the basement hiding and was caught on the body cam, officer? It was really hard to see. I don't know. I can't say for sure. I'm just wondering. Was somebody else hiding in the basement? I don't know. We'll definitely take a look. I mean, yeah, like I said, there's so much that we have left to see. So much. Ending the poll. Okay. Nice. Gabby Petito, guys. We'll be talking about Gabby Petito in our weekly live streams. And we'll also be doing Casey Anthony. And like I said, we're going to add other polls as well. We're going to mix it in, right? We want to give everybody a chance to join and add all of the opinions and thoughts that we have. Thank you all so much. I appreciate each and every single one of you. Thank you so much for joining today's live. Thank you to my moderators. Always, thank you so much for making the chat welcoming and safe for everybody. Thank you to my members. Thank you to all of my new members. And special thanks to my subscribers, everybody who's been here from the very beginning, supporting my channel. Really, truly, guys, I appreciate each and every single one of you. It has been a journey, and the community that we have created here is amazing. I love you all. Take care. Have a great day, great rest of your weekend. Happy Mother's Day. Be safe, and I will see you all tomorrow. Thank you, guys. Bye.